Next, we've got Jill Applegate. She's worked with me on my TSP as well as been a friend at some of our trainings. And she came originally from Spencer, Iowa. She received her Bachelor in Arts in Sociology and a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from Drake in Des Moines, which is kind of a perfect blend for this kind of a thing. Psychology will show you the reasons why people do things they do from inside, and sociology, the reasons why they do it from without, the external factors. So, going on, after learning to look critically at the social problems of our society through her education that I was just pointing out, Jill joined Public Allies Iowa AmeriCorps as a way to work with the community to find solutions to those same issues. Now, she's worked to develop a strategic plan for ICAA during her term of service. Now, although she's unsure where the future will take her, through this experience, she's realized that community work is a passion of hers and she'd like to try to help out her community going forward. Jill Applegate.
All right, well, hello, like Jeff said, my name is Jill Applegate, and I am the Community Engagement Specialist for Des Moines Community Action Agency. Just to give you a little bit of context, Des Moines Community Action is part of the City of Des Moines Housing Services Department, and we, our goal is to help the low-income population of the city, mostly through crisis assistance programs. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about what I learned through my 10-month term of service by talking about the promise of community action. I know a lot of you are from community action agencies, so you should be familiar with this. But coming into this position, I didn't realize how key community action is in really working to eliminate poverty in our nation. And hearing what the promise of community action is has really inspired me and made me realize that community action is so necessary in order to eliminate poverty. No worries. So I want to start off with by reading to you what the promise of community action is. And that is that community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. And we at Community Action, we care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves. And today what I'm going to talk to you about is how we at Des Moines Community Action have lived up to this promise, and how you at your own organizations can do that as well. So to give you a little bit of history on community action, we know from being at the conference today that this year we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the War on Poverty. We know that this started in 1964, following in his predecessor's footsteps, John F. Kennedy, and his intended agenda to create a program to eliminate poverty. President Lyndon B. Johnson announced that as a nation we were going to take steps towards actively seeking out the causes and alleviating the symptoms of poverty in our nation. And among other initiatives, the idea was to create a program that specifically looked at these causes of poverty at the local level. And President Johnson had handpicked, and he had to nudge a little bit Sergeant Shriver, who was the director of the Peace Corps, to help in the creation of and be the first director of this program, which was to be called Community Action. And Sergeant Shriver is the one there on the right. And over my term in learning about Sergeant Shriver, I was really inspired by his life and how much compassion he had to really help everyone that he came across, and what his goals were for community action. So, two reasons why he really liked the idea of community action. First was that it gave, or it emphasized local control rather than central planning, as a way to give communities control over, creating programs that were really going to benefit them rather than being dictated by the federal government. And then second, and I think more importantly, or for me at least, that community action wasn't just about handouts or a perpetuation of public assistance, but rather it was to induce individual initiative or going back to that promise to help people help themselves. And while over the course of its history, community action has changed a little bit, these two fundamental principles still remain the same, that agencies have the ability to design the programs that they need for their communities, and that they are really geared towards inducing that individual initiative and having people really help themselves through their situation. So in thinking about, over my term, I've been involved in strategic planning and talking to the community about our programs and what is necessary for the city of Des Moines and the low-income population there. My colleagues and I had a conversation about the different types of programs offered by community action, and it came down to this idea of stability versus sustainability. And the analogy I use, and the more I think about it, not just for these programs, but just life in general, is a game of Jenga. I don't know if you're all familiar with this game, but what Jenga is you stack blocks up, and then you try to remove them and place them on top in order to see how far you can make the tower grow before it falls over. And I think this is a perfect analogy for explaining the difference between sustainability programs and stability programs. But I will say before I go into this that both programs are necessary in order to look at what is causing poverty and really help people out of that situation. Stability programs we have come to define as programs that fill a basic and an immediate need, which is necessary in order for a family to go on to any type of future success. So those are the blocks. Stability programs are those blocks, at least at the bottom of the tower, that you can't move because otherwise the tower is going to fall over. And so examples of stability programming, at least at Des Moines Community Action, we've got a food pantry, a personal pantry, we do furnace repair and replacement, as well as utility assistance. Those are all immediate needs that people are going to need help with, that if they don't have that need met, there's no way that they can go on forward to a pathway of sufficiency or stability. Now, on the other hand, sustainability programs, or what other people like to call self-sufficiency programs, those are those programs that help people break down the barriers that is preventing them from going on to independence. One program that we talked a lot about at lunch today for community action is the FADS program, which works with families to look at those barriers and help set goals for their independence for the future to get out of that system and that cycle of assistance. So in the analogy of Jenga, the sustainability programs, those are those blocks that you can take out and you can move around and you can put at the top in order to make the tower grow and to keep growing and to be sustainable and sufficient. Now, like I said, we can't have sustainability or sufficiency without stability. You can't go on that pathway unless you are stabilized. So we know that both types of programs are necessary for families who are in the low income brackets. But no matter what type of program you're offering, I was trying to think about a way that's really going to get back to that promise of community action. How can we, whether or not we are providing stability programs or sustainability programs, how can we really help people help themselves? And my solution to that is leveraging and acknowledging and building upon community assets. So, what does this mean? Well, we know that to lever is to use something valuable in order to lift or increase something else, a desired effect. Assets are that something valuable, the knowledge and the skills and the abilities that the community has. And we know in our field that the desired effect is to eliminate poverty. So I believe that at organizations like Community Action, when they leverage and when they build upon the assets of the community, that's really what's going to help induce that individual initiative and help people help themselves. And that is what is going to help eliminate poverty, is when people are sustainable, they're able to get out of that situation. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 different ways that at Des Moines Community Action we are leveraging and building upon community assets and having quality, sustainable, and stabilizing programs. So the first is through choice, by offering the option of choice. So I believe that choice is a community asset because people know best what's going to work for them better than we do. And one way that we are offering this option of choice is through our food pantry, which is officially called a pantry of choice. And for our food pantry, under the standard guidelines of what you can take from the food pantry, families are able to come in and actually choose what's going to work best for their family, rather than getting just a random handout bag of food. So for example, clients and families can come in and they can choose the brown rice over the white rice, or they can choose, like my supervisor Martha says, corn over the peas if they don't like peas. And this, I believe that this is building upon a community asset, because what it is even in something as simple as choosing your own food, it's building that confidence and that agency that people need to feel in control of their situation. And even though a food pantry is more of a stabilization program, it's not that sustainability program, it's not going to help people towards independence, but at least putting in that option of choice in something this simple, like I said, it's going to build the agency of that individual to help them feel more in control of that situation, and then hopefully in the future they'll have that confidence when they're looking down the pathway to being sufficient. The second way that we at Des Moines Community Action are leveraging and building upon community assets is through education. We offer a financial and energy-wise class, and this class, which is free for anyone to come in and take. Families can learn about how to make, they'll learn, and they're also reminded of the simple and smart financial and energy-saving choices. As topics that we have, include basic budgeting, debt reduction, building a good credit score, and energy conservation. I believe that education is really one of the best assets that we can build upon for people, because the knowledge that you gain through education can be used and shared infinitely. And that can really, you can use that no matter where you are in your life to get towards that, that goal of being sustainable. So I just want to share with you one really quick example of that in our class. Again, Marcy, my supervisor, likes to share this story, but I think it's really telling of what this class can do for people. There was a woman who was required to take our financial and energy-wise class. Not super thrilled about it, but she came in and she learned in the class how much money it takes to run your dishwasher at your house. Now, she has 7 children, and she had an antique dishwasher, and she was running it every single day. She even said in the class, I've got 7 good dishwashers at home. Why do I need to be running the dishwasher every single day? So she came back for her follow-up appointment, and she was really, really excited, because she had made the decision to only run the dishwasher once a week, and that alone saved her on her electric bill $70 that month. And she said, that's $10 more per child a month. So, that type of education, or at least not educating people, but reminding them about what the smart choice is, can really help them towards that pathway of sufficiency. And then the third way at Des Moines Community Action we are building upon community assets is through providing tools and resources. And one way we're doing that is through our garden project. What we do is we provide $25 gift certificates to families to go to a local garden center and buy edible plants or seeds so that they can tend their own personal garden. By providing this tool that families might not be able to get otherwise, we're building that agency, and we're building that confidence that they can be in control of their situation. As well as the fact that gardening is it's a sustainable food option for people. It can involve the whole family or the whole community, and you're producing food for yourself. You're not getting just another random handout like at a food pantry. And even if people don't know how to garden, we offer gardening basics classes as well as preservation classes so that people can learn and can use this tool if they want to pursue that option. So through choice, through providing tools and resources and education, those are the ways that as one community action, we are leveraging assets in the community, and we're building upon those assets to help people get to that sustainable or that sufficient goal. And not just through, sufficiency programs, but stabilization programs as well. And I think, just going back to that promise of community action, this is a really viable way that organizations, not just community action agencies, but other organizations, can take a look at their programs and, think about how are we really going to help people help themselves, which, is key in actually eliminating poverty in our nation. So I would challenge you all to think about how you can do that in your own agency with your programs. And I really think that, this promise of helping people help themselves is important in thinking about the future of our nation. So thank you.